awfully sad news this weekend before we get into WrestleMania news. Rich is a diehard, long-term Duke fan, and I am a long-term diehard North Carolina Tar Heels fan. And what we witnessed was the end of Coach K forevermore. He has been officially packed up, and he had to get the fuck up out the Superdome. So, Rich, I would like to give you the floor to say whatever goodbyes you need to say, eulogize Coach K, if you will, because I know I got my eulogy on deck. So you go ahead and say what you got to say, and then you get the fuck out the way so I can go ahead and say what I need to say, because this is long overdue. You are on this.
I love Coach K. I was watching the last couple minutes head to head with the Ronda and Charlotte match, and luckily I was able to pay full attention to the game because Ronda and Charlotte were stinking the joint out. So
yeah, they were stinking it up.
So we had already seen the superior, women's match earlier in the night. So
that is for sure.
Yeah, but I was watching it and I was thinking about when I became a Duke fan, like in 2001, and just thinking about the long legacy he has, like the last 50 years of college basketball. He's arguably the most important figure in it. So this guy is he's a legend. Built the program up from I know they were successful before 1980, but nothing like they were since or after that.
The whole entire different stratosphere. Yeah.
Right. I was always relieved when I heard Coach K wasn't on no Trump shit.
That's a good thing to know. Yeah.
He's just a legend, man. Just lots of Final Fours. Like I don't even know. I think he broke the record, if I'm not mistaken, this year, held by John Wooden. I think it was 13 Final Fours, 5 national titles. Lots of players in the league, lots of college moments, and lots of black hair for years and years and years, untested, natural, black hair on top. I love Coach K. When it was time to save the Olympic program, who they turned to? They turned to Coach K to get it right, and he actually commanded all the respect to everybody, and he's a guy that he took his losses in the tournament. Sometimes he's a very emotional guy. I like Coach K because he actually cared about people guarding somebody. It wasn't like some bullshit. It was like, yo, you're gonna man up. Like, we don't care if you're if you're athletically deficient or not. You're gonna get your ass out there and guard, and and the brotherhood of Duke, like it's great marketing. It's like it's just everyone's kind of tied together somehow. And program's going to John Shire. I'm excited. I always was a big Shire fan, and it's gonna be different without Coach K, of course, because it's like who has he's the one guy in our program. We don't have a list of guys. Like, we have a coaching tree, but it's not in the way where dudes were coming back and there were obvious successors. Like, Shire just kind of happened to be the guy that was here now. It could have been like Johnny Dawkins or something, but it just didn't happen because Coach K stuck around forever. So it could have been Jeff Capel, stuff like that. So but it ended up going to Shire, and I like the way that he built the programs over the years. Like, as far as we used to lean on the seniors a lot, and then eventually the game came around to one and dones and stuff like that, and I kind of fell less in love with college sports over that time, probably through my progression in life, as well as that switch, where you didn't necessarily keep dudes around for those years. But yeah, I'll miss Coach K. He was great, man.
Beautiful. Very, very touching. So, as far as Coach K, I don't really have much of ill will towards Coach K. I think Coach K has been a great coach and a great ambassador for the sport of college basketball. I think that some of the things that he gets, some of the let's say superlatives he gets is a bit of white people loving the fact that they had a team full of white guys in the 80s and 90s that could compete with these teams at a time when they felt like black basketball players were taking over college sports, and they became the Great White Hope. That's through no fault of their own necessarily. That is how teams, or that is how the fans around took to them. And quite frankly, given the situation in the state of North Carolina when it comes to recruiting, Duke had to become a national program in order to make it to all those Final Fours, in order to win all those national championships. Like up until probably like the last 6 years, from the time he took over in the early '80s or mid '80s, Carolina, as far as what it was, all the black players that were really good and Mr. Basketball in Carolina, they almost universally all went to North Carolina. There is a strange thing about the state of North Carolina in the black residents in their love for this public university of North Carolina, to where the kids want going to Duke. What the hell is a Duke? We don't know. Like James Worthy is going to North Carolina. Michael Jordan's going to North Carolina. Everybody's going to North Carolina, and pretty much the only time they ever changed was like Brandon Ingram, John Wall. Like Duke didn't even bother to try to recruit John Wall until the like 11th hour, because they were like, well, he's not going to Carolina. We don't know where he's going. Let's at least like hit the tires on him. So anyway, that not a lot of that stuff is not necessarily Duke's fault or K's fault, but they damn sure benefited from it. And when they were the underdogs, they were winning these national championships while at that school, that elite school, that private school, that school that has out of towners come in and help ruin the integration program in the residential housing section of the state of North Carolina in the Raleigh area. That was all happening, and like to see that they're called underdogs when most of these people are rich wasps was just always like this huge thing that was like, this is the crux of the rivalry. Like college rivalries are based on the universities and the socioeconomic classes of it, right? Like you look at Georgia Tech and you look at Georgia. You got the elite school and then you got the tech school. That's kind of how it goes. Like you look at UCLA, you look at USC. USC is the private school. I'm sorry, UCLA is a public school, but it's in Westwood next to Hollywood in Beverly Hills. And then you look at USC and it is the private school, but it's right in the hood. So that always comes to play when it comes to Carolina being a liberal arts school and all that kind of, or not liberal arts school, but liberal public school. So like at play when you see all this stuff from the perspective of just watching Duke Carolina, and then the perspective of the fans and those in the area in the triangle, it was always big time. And one thing you could always kind of was like, no matter how good or bad those teams were every single year, seemingly, at some point in one of them two games, it was going to come down to the wire and they were going to give you an instant classic. And that's all you can hope for in a basketball rivalry. I wish K the best, but because of you and our other friend Kendrick and the shit y'all have talked, and when I just let the stuff slide because I'm kind of indifferent to Duke, I had to get you this time. I had to get you. So y'all was old. I had to ambush him. Sorry, Tanya. I just had to do this impromptu. Well, not impromptu. You see, I got props and everything, but still, shout out. Cheers to K and hopefully he has a wonderful afterlife.
Yes.
And the last two, we got you. You got to hold that L forever.
Forever.
2 L's.
And like
James Todd Smith.
Yeah. Like, and I've always told James this, like, I kind of just looked at Carolina kind of just a basketball rival. It wasn't something like where I hated Carolina, because, like, the time I became a Duke fan, I fucking hated Maryland. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and then they ran like hoes from the rivalry to another conference, all right? So, like, like the North Carolina Duke rivalry is always like, it's given us a lot of like great sports moments. I'll never forget being in that Wingstop when Austin Rivers, shot down Tyler Zeller, and then that one dude that was selling out to me all game, and I just cranked up on him for all time and let him have it. So, but yeah, man, Duke forever, Coach K forever.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Yeah. And you know what? I'll never forget Coach K night, his last night at Cameron Indoor Stadium, when we packed his ass up in front of 90 of his former players. And I also will not forget when Caleb Love sent him the fuck up out of here forever. So shout out to K. And let's get on with the show. Let's get on with the good times that we got from Saturday night. The good times continue to roll from Saturday night to tonight.